Welcome to the Roar Mindset, Leading Through Chaos. I'm Peter Brandenburger, and I help leaders embrace chaos to turn disruption into an advantage. Each episode brings stories and strategies to help you stop fighting disruption, lead with clarity, and thrive in uncertain times. Today, I'm joined by Ahmed Omer. Ahmed is a global technology leader whose work helped shape how we experience modern PCs, from longer battery life to sleek, high-performance designs we now take for granted. We were colleagues in Intel, but we were also mutual confidants. We listened to one another, challenged each other to support overcoming our leadership challenges. And we continue this as we head into our next adventures. Ahmed's superpower is harmony. He is a natural harmonizer who brings calm and clarity into complex situations. Across continents, cultures, and disciplines, he helps people find alignment when perspectives differ and tensions are high. His strength lies in seeing what others miss, the subtle misunderstanding beneath the noise, and transforming them into shared understanding and forward momentum. In our conversation, we talk about how most conflicts don't come from disagreement, but rather from misunderstanding, and how listening to understand is a powerful leadership skill. If you've ever wondered how to turn misunderstanding into alignment and intrigued by how it's related to soccer, then I'm sure you'll enjoy this episode. Well, welcome, Ahmed. Thanks for joining the podcast today.
Yes, happy to be here, Peter. Thanks for inviting.
Yeah. Let's just start off with a little check-in and what matters most to you these days.
Oh, what matters most to me these days? Staying healthy, staying happy, giving back to community, taking care of the loved ones and friends. So being happy, being playful, and not having stress.
I love the playful. And how do you stay happy? Is it those things you talked about, or is there other
Uh,
ways you're
yeah,
staying happy?
exactly. Well, it's doing whatever I feel like at the time, right? So trying to not fall for intensity and requests that don't matter, and you'll get the noise all around. And I've been making sure that I march to my own drumbeat.
Yeah, the autonomy of that.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
autonomy is interesting because I mean, you and I both left Intel, and we were less autonomous or had less agency over what we did. And so, yes, leaving and having the ability to decide, or more of an ability to decide what to do, is interesting.
Yes. Yeah. And that expands to the personal life and all the things. And we get texts, we get emails, we get letters, whatever. All those things is being of what do I do today? Yeah, I wanted to what I do today, what I feel good about doing today.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like, what's calling you? What do you feel good about?
Right.
That's great.
Yeah, I've been cooking a lot, so that I feel like it's been a calling. My wife gave up cooking. She's like, "Okay, what's food? What's for dinner?" Actually, that kind of started at pandemic time, but now that I am not employed and have more free time, the de facto cook at the home. My approach to life, at least these days, is similar of going with the flow and what's coming, what's feeling good. What must be done, it will be done. Other things, you know, it'll be slower and, make sure that I am taking care of me. I getting the rest I need. I am blocking this stress. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, I'm glad you're learning to relax a little bit after Intel.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, by the way, even when working, having that kind of approach, it's difficult, but it's probably the best that people talk about work-life balance. Understanding your rhythm, understanding how you do things, and that's when you're most productive. That's when you're in the flow. And when we get in, difficulties, the energy expend with no return, and all that is when we lose that rhythm, and the other noise impacts us. It is difficult though. Also, it takes a lot
Yeah.
of pull back and calming down, and you have to push back and so on. But it's not easy when you want to help.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what we talk about here on the podcast is, how do you deal with disruptions? How do you deal with the chaos of the noise that you talked about? And I know you've dealt with it because I've seen it firsthand when we were working together. When you face those times that were disruptions or, that are unavoidable, what helped you to shift to see them as like an opportunity?
All right. So I think it depends the context, the players, the time, the relationships. And how much convinced I am. When you know the requests not making sense or other priorities, that then I would confront of why we need to do this thing now. Did we look at it different ways and so on? If it's a new person, if I could still spend some time going along and turning that thing around later, I would. So it will be case by case, but generally I focus on the relationships. I am harmonious person, so I avoid confrontations, and I would look at the situation of, you have time, can I go along? Because sometimes, I used to give the example of when you have a big problem, sometimes you go along that direction and then turn it around later. So like kind of a big truck, when big trucks are turning, they go the other way first and then
Yeah.
come back to where they're going,
Mm.
right? So huge problems I would go to that direction, but with the intent of going, take it to the right direction. And with that going along, you'll build the credibility, trust, and now people are open to listen, and you can take the, but I'm persistent of where I want to go if I'm convinced. And so, yeah, it will be situation to situation. If the noise is big, if I agree we need to do something now and drop everything else, would. If it doesn't, we'll question the person and try to get them to come to their senses and right. So is
Yeah.
that of, is this important? Is it urgent? Why now? Does it that kind of within you and then with the folks who you're dealing with.
Yeah, I like that truck analogy of taking a wide turn and moving along. And what also came to me is you're leading it from the inside as opposed to on the outside saying you need to turn. You just get on board and get aligned to why are we doing this? What is the direction? What's the right thing? And if there's new people, you let them possibly struggle for a little bit so that they can learn. It's really building that trust and relationships. That's a wonderful metaphor.
Right. Yeah. For me, it's the long term. It's important, the harmony, the coming together, being one team. It's one of my strengths is being included. So actually, I want all come and doing things together. But also, I don't like to waste energy, right? So we need to focus. So I don't like doing things if they're not necessary, right? Everything we do, we should know the purpose. Can we do it better? Can we spend less energy on it? What's the best way to do it? And that takes some thinking instead of just jumping to the actions. And so when you have folks who want to jump to the action, that's the part I have to figure out how to, slow them down and have those conversations.
I've seen you rally people around a purpose or a shared sense of why. Why are we doing this? Why do we exist? And I guess maybe just for everybody, why is that important? And then maybe talk about some of the approaches that you do it.
The purpose will help build a shared goal. So once we have shared goal, we have a shared direction, right? And so a good example is the rowing, right? You got 6 people or whatever, 4 people on the boat rowing. And if they are off, each one is off a little bit, they'll go in circles, right? And if we not align on that and we don't know, hey, we go in this direction, Joe, you're gonna go row that way, everybody's, then you go faster and you go faster. If a little bit off, you're not going to go as fast. So it is the efficiency, it's the acceleration. It's it focuses energy, and it's a addition, right? They're not subtracting, right? It's vectors, right? So now all vectors are aligned. They're not some pieces that are canceling each other and so on. And it's your optimum way of getting stuff done.
I do like that, except I have a challenge to that metaphor of a team of rowing in the same direction. And it's that people are different. They have different experiences, they have different backgrounds, they bring different things to the team. So they may do different things differently. In other words, they may not be all rowing exactly perfect together. So here's my other analogy is it's if you had like a magnetic field and everybody had their own compass, but we're allowed to go do a little bit of deviation, but magnetic field is pulling them in the same direction. I like that because it allows for individualism.
Mhm.
and a little different. Like things don't always happen sequentially. Like, so there's some non-linearity is maybe what I'm getting at. What do you think of that?
No, no, yeah, they're not all identical. They will not all do the same way, right? But having the same direction, yeah, I agree with you. You know, a diversity in that would be where different people are sitting, but in the right, the left guys, but in the ones who are more confident, Also, another part I think
Mm,
of, strength-based organization, right, is the team fitting together, like the rowing, that would be it, right? And generally, I'm in agreement with you that, you put boundaries that, right? So, yeah, so it depends how fast you want to go, how far you want to go, how much tolerance there is. But definitely part of the shared goal and coming together in that early on is assessing how everybody would fit. And you will take care of the differences upfront as you build into the direction and how you're going to go do it.
right. I love how you talked about energy, and I like the idea of these vectors that are non-canceling. Like as you're leading, making sure that they're additive and not canceling and going in different directions.
Right. So strength-based organization is where you are optimizing the organization around the strengths of the team, of the people, members of the organization. So, you would understand, a team understand what each one's strengths are. And that's where their primary play is, where their strengths are. Everybody's strength is a weakness, is some other context or some other situation. You have someone else who fills the other part where this other person's strength was. So, I mean, it's just even team play, right? I mean, soccer, that's what I grew up playing. But you got the defense, offense, the guy who's the scorer and the striker at the front. That's the strength they have. You don't put them in the defense, right? You
Hmm.
don't ask them to be the goalkeeper. They might be able to do goalkeeping, but this is what they are better, and you structure the team that way. So that's knowing, what each individual in the team strengths are, what they're gonna do, how they're gonna produce the most, and then having others to fill in other areas that you need to fill in. So you construct a team that everyone is focused and the primary work is what their strengths are, right? And what the gaps you bring in other strengths. But trying to make that person do everything is when we have problems, because when something's not our strength, it's burden to us. We're not good at it, we will procrastinate, we don't want to do it, it'll just be misery. But when people are doing things that align with their strength, and by the way, someone's strengths also generally aligns with their passion, they will be most productive and most happy, and things will be best.
Yeah. I was thinking of the Venn diagrams of what work needs you to do, what you're passionate about, or how I talk about it, and what you have skills and capabilities to do. I always see that if the passion and business overlaps, that's the most important because the skills and the competencies will follow,
Competence.
right? But
Yep, definitely.
you need to have a base level of competency skills to be able to do that. But my assumption is like if
Correct.
something new, you would come in and jump to that new
Right.
thing.
Right. There's a baseline. That does everybody have to have that, right? It's when we get to the specializations and when we are looking at who's going to be the selling guy. There's some people who don't know how to sell. We're not going to force them to be the selling people. We get the best selling, but all have to have we can communicate. There are other vectors which must be common denominators. Yes, you have to bring some threshold, but beyond that, if they spend more time on what is their strength, they do better.
Yeah.
There's the
Yes.
example. So the striker, if they practice more goal scoring, they do better. Even they improve much faster in that than try to be a goalkeeper.
Yeah. Yeah. You're high performers. You're really good. You're strikers. If you're trying to have them be a good defensive person at the same time they're being a good striker, you're going to lose that good person. They're going to go somewhere else. In other words, making up for other people's inadequacies is like a leading way to lose your good people.
Exactly. Just going back to the threshold and stuff, like on this scenario, which is interesting. Even the goalkeeper needs to know how to shoot penalty, right? So that's a common area that everyone has to have, that they can go, because everybody could be lined up to go do the penalties. But you want your goalkeeper practice goalkeeping.
Right. I mean, they'll have to have basic soccer skills. And to me, people on a team, is they have to have basic relationship skills, being able to talk with people, communicate people, connect with people, challenge people, but also, which is builds the trust and to hold people accountable.
Right. I talked about strength-based organization. So the three things I would generally want my department and my groups focus is that one of, hey, I am about strength-based organization and collaborative organization. I want the people I work with willing to collaborate with me. And that's where the strengths also come in. Somebody's better than me on something else. I'm better than them on something else. When we're collaborating, 1 + 1 = 3 kind of things come out. So, and then the next one is commitment to the customers, to the results, to the partners, and to ourselves, right? But one thing I always talk to the team about is being a vendor of choice, or a supplier of choice, or a partner of choice, right? Meaning, hey, don't think your job, because I had situations where I was leading teams and teams were complaining, oh, this other team's doing our work, and the work politics. So why are they doing this? This is our charter. So and so is doing our charter. Da, 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 da. So I used to hear that, and then I started giving the talk of, hey, don't worry about what the other person doing. You should be chosen. Yes, this is your charter, but don't take it for granted that you have that work. People should choose you, and how should they choose you? You have to be competent. You should be good at what you do. If you're not good at what you're doing, then why would people come to you, even though it's your charter? And the second one is, you should be easy to work with. Or you can be the best person technically on something, right? But if you're difficult to work with, they will go to the average guy who's easy to work with, right? So those
Yeah, I
are
laugh because
must
I laugh because
happens, right?
we have seen it together. Yes. And I think,
Yeah.
what's interesting is the strength of your team members. It's also like, it's an extension of that to a team level. Like, when you have somebody who's going to choose you and wants to work with you because you're easy, it's because your strengths are matching their needs. And so it's almost like, if your team strengths are not the right team for what they want, they'll probably not choose you. And so being aware of that and morphing or modifying, or maybe I guess in some cases just saying, no, that's not our strength and I'm not going to go after that.
Right, exactly right. And if that has to be your charter, you have to build that strength. Be competent, and then easy to work with. And actually, when I start coming up with this, it was just a story behind that. So one time, a long time ago, we had a team who was worried about being laid off. And one of the employees came to me 5 p.m. or end of the day. It's like, hey, are we going to get laid off? I'm like, and she was a good employee. I'm like, why do you think that? Oh, because our work is going away. The architecture change, Now we can integrate the memory to the CPU. The work we did is not going to be there. I'm like, oh. And so that's when I first saying, hey, don't worry. As long as you're good at what you do and you are easy to work with, there is place for you. But the weeks leading to that, there was a team that was shutting down shop, and the managers were sending out to other managers and leaders email of who's affected and impacted and whether they want these people. And it was so up in emails, people were saying, I want this person, I want that person. And I'm curious persons. I was looking at, why would they choose that versus that? And sort of that's when I noticed some really good technical people didn't want them. And I'm like, because they're difficult to work with, right? Where an average person who wasn't as technical, but it was easy to get along. So sort of that's when I formulated, so this lady who was worried about layoff, I had to let her know, hey, you need to beat this. Then eventually I added 2 more in that because, okay, if all are equal, become a vendor of choice, the people want to choose us. If someone else has same level of competency and it's easy to work with, how would you choose them? Also, that we talked about then doing the extra mile that you go, and then another one added is being proactive. So those are the 4 items I normally say you should have to be and pursue to be vendor of choice or partner of choice.
Yeah, I like that. The extra mile is always good. Like, really, I always think of that as, how can I provide more value to who I'm talking to?
exactly. And it's interesting. And one of the teams in Malaysia, I think I was telling them this, and they go, "Oh, you want us to do more work?" When I say go the extra mile, and I say, "No, that's not the thing." So I actually give example of, I was there in Malaysia in the shop. Say, hey, if you have a shop and you sell, let's say, sweets, and somebody comes in and they're asking you for soap, and you say, "Sorry, I sell sweets," and they go to the next shop and they also sell sweets, and you ask for soap, and you go, "Sorry, I sell sweets." But if you go out and you make left and right, there's a shop that sells soaps. That's extra mile, and next time they want to buy sweets, who do they go to?
Yeah, helping them.
So it's just the raw mindset. So that's just the mindset of being helpful. Is that extra mile? I mean, there are bigger ones, but it's just thinking in how to help each other.
Yeah, you're right. It's not about doing more. It's about doing the thing that provides them more value.
Right.
That's kind of what it like the value is giving them direction. If
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it doesn't take a lot of effort, or sometimes you put a lot of effort into something that doesn't provide them value, that's providing maybe you value, which is what I've seen. Like a team is like, oh, this is really important for me. It's me and me. And it's like, well, hold on. Put yourself in their perspective. What value is this providing them? And do they want it? And it's a simple question. Like, how can I help you? Hey, what challenge are you doing we can maybe help you with?
Right. Right. Definitely. Yeah, it's minimizing effort for everybody.
Yeah.
So if I can do something that takes me 5 minutes, that would have taken hours someone else, I would, even though it's not my job.
All right. Well, so we've covered as like getting a team together, aligning them to the why or the rowing the boat in the right direction, getting their vectors of energy moving in the right direction, getting the right people doing the right kind of roles, and then being a team of choice. And so when you get all that moving in that direction, like how do you keep it going when disruptions happen and changes happen to, product roadmaps, customer demands, all the changes that I know you've experienced? Like, how do you keep that momentum going?
Yeah. Um, so I think when changes come, it is good to huddle and still go back to the principles. But so now we were going certain direction and we said, hey, it's going to be shifted, right? And we need to go faster than we were going, or whatever, right? So we have to get back together and bring in the people along, have the conversation. Hey, what do we need to do? How do we do? And which is similar to right in the beginning, to have a shared goal, shared purpose. It's not top standard. I'm coming and telling them what to do, right? We all come together and ask the questions. You might have, as a leader, an idea, but you really want the people also be part of that process, and actually they might come up better idea. You might be wrong, etc. So it's both having alignment, having that conversation of everybody knowing what's changing and how should we approach. It helps with that alignment, and people will execute to that. And the other part is maybe better ideas than you had come out of that, right? And you should be willing to take that, right? So if my bosses told me we need to do certain thing and I was agreeing, thinking, okay, yeah, I come into the team's totally against it, and they're telling me why all that, then I'm to take that back and arrange and then come back and say why we need to change that direction.
I think talking about collaboration and bringing this together, I wanted to highlight because I think this is one of your superpowers is bringing people together. And to me, there's a couple things that I would want to highlight that you didn't talk about because I think it's so innate to you, which is one, you're listening to them. You're not coming in, like you said, you're not coming in and saying, hey, go do this. And then kind of like dump it. Or we used to call it swoop and poop, right? Like you come in and say, do it. And then you leave. You're coming in and saying, here's what the disruption happened or coming down or from a customer, whichever angle, here's what's happening. What do we do about it? And then you actually listen to the response to what do we do about it or what's next or getting some feedback about what are options. And that is something that I don't believe a lot of leaders do. I would say probably very few leaders do is leverage their team for the wisdom that they have by simply asking a question and listening to it. And then the second thing you said is like the building on it. One person brings in, and so it's like building on the idea. It's not Hey, this is my idea, and try to figure out which is the best idea. But it's, oh, I like this part of your idea, I like this part of your idea, and you kind of build on it. And then the third thing I heard is the integrity that, hey, when there is some misalignment, you said you feel, I think, compelled to go back and push back. That's
Yeah.
wonderful way of supporting your team.
Right. And then by part of, managing, you talk about managing up and down. That's difficult part of the managing up, right? Yeah. So yeah, when changes happen, I said we need to go back and get the team buy-in, and not just a buy-in, but you know, understand the way they see, right? Uh, direction comes, if directions has to change, and from the team you have with their experience, knowledge, and they want to do something different, they think what's being asked to do don't make sense, etc. So taking that back up to manage other managers up a few, it's important. I mean, for the team, but for also, right, the bigger organization or corporation, right? So it's very important, but it's very sticky area. It takes, it's one of those things people say, it can damage your careers and stuff, but I never really cared. For me, it's what makes most sense, and with my heart is, what, that's right. You try to nudge and bring people together, stuff like that. But even the safe situation like that, you normally have, if teams going fast and they go in certain direction, all of a sudden noise comes, change this and that, they're not happy, and they're wondering. And then if we need to change direction, just the fact that you set them, give them more new things to look into, analyze, because if they want to change direction, even that bothers them. But so, hey, good idea. Let's go look. How do we convince others? That's work also. And so navigating that's not easy either. But if it's the right thing to do, right? I'm always focused on what is the right thing. And it just, that's how I feel is what in my values, what is the right thing, and doing that and being genuine about it, and doing that, because otherwise it's going to be, chaos.
Yeah, we talked about when changes happen or disruptions happen to a team that's kind of working well, things shift and you get back in, you collaborate, you really engage, you listen to them. And if you have to reassess or re-engage with other people, you go do that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, listening is important to me. I listen to understand. I'm curious. I'm not in one way or the other. Most of the time, I'm in the gray. I actually think I don't know everything. I want to know more. There's always more to know. So I'm coming from that perspective, right? So listening. And actually, very interesting. I was giving a talk, I think, about what did I learn, what. Listening, when I was in the university, and I come from, in Somalia, East Africa. When I was at the University of Arizona, my English class, English, 101 or whatever, it was 103. It was for foreign people with English second language, but it was the composition classes, right? And in there was a guy from Trinidad, and I never heard of Trinidad. And he was in this class that was for people with English second language. Then he told me Trinidad speaks English. I'm like, why are you? Because I've, English is my first language. But anyway, I used to hang out with this guy, and one day with the library, and he was talking to the librarian, and he talk. He has got the accent, Caribbean accent, and she did not understand him, but I understood him. And I'm
Mm.
like the guy who don't speak English. Right? I mean, I'm just learning English. It's like I'm whatever 6 months in the U.S. But I was translating from the English speaking guy from the Caribbean to the English speaking American person.
As a non-English speaker, or
Exactly. Then I
first,
realized I was listening. She wasn't listening. It wasn't about, right? 'Cause how come I can understand him? Both these are native English speakers, right? I'm not. But I am listening to him and telling her, this is what he's saying.
yeah. So it was not the language. It was just simply a skill of listening.
Right. I mean, the guy who was speaking English, he just had an accent. So if you're filtering, you're not allowing to listen because he's really saying English words, right? But anyway, so that was the learning for me on why was that. And then I realized I was listening.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, listening is I say also, talk about inclusion, listening is that important. Different accents, different styles. The guy who stretches what he's saying. It's annoying sometimes, right? So every person has certain people who they are annoyed the way they're speaking, and you might, space out not to listen to them. But it's important that listening is allowing, and all those irritations not impacting your listening.
Yeah. It's listening without judgment is maybe one way I
Yeah.
put that. Like you're not filtering through some lens of, do I like this person, or can I understand their accent, or why is this happening the way it's happening? But it's just simply engaged with trying to understand what they're trying to communicate. And you don't have to agree with it. Even if all your beliefs are against what they're saying, you still can listen to it and still say, I hear you, and here's what I hear. And then you can disagree with it. But it's
Yeah,
interesting that way.
exactly. Yeah, no, definitely. So, and with employees, listening to them, and I always told them as well the same thing, right? It's not, hey, if you speak up, tell me if you disagree what I'm saying, I'll listen to you. Maybe I'll agree with you because I didn't have that perspective, or if I don't agree with you, I'll tell you, right? And yeah, and having that expectation set, and that builds, credibility, people understanding that you care and that you don't have any hidden agendas, or just being transparent. So for me, when I'm approaching a problem, I come into truly that genuine goal of how do we solve this problem, and that is the goal. And it's not that how do I solve it, is how do we, whoever we are, right, whoever is getting involved. And even in that is, if the other people need to be part of that are not here, how do we find them, right? So coming into that is the goal, is to solve this problem or do whatever we need to do. It's not about the people or who gets credit, or right. If I'm coming in, okay, how do I now get credit for this thing? Then I have
Yeah,
other
bias.
approaches, right? But if I'm coming in, how do I solve this problem? Then listening, then it's my advantage in that solving that problem, right? To have other voices to hear, and suppressing my ego that I know a lot, even if I think I know, I should accept. You see situations where you see yourself not accepting and figuring, oh my God, they're making more sense.
Yeah, more opening up. I think what's also inherent in here, and it's maybe just innate, but you just talked about like the problem. It's not my problem. Like you're not even tied to it, the way the problem is defined, or it's maybe a collective problem, and you're just, for lack of a better term, like shepherding it. I mean, leading it, but you're bringing this in, and the problem may change, but all as well as the solution. I think you're inherently open to both sides of that discussion.
Right. Yeah, and even to the extreme of people saying, "Why do we want to solve this problem?" You came in to solve a problem with team, and they start all saying, "What the heck are you talking about? Why do I want to do this? Doesn't make sense. We have this other." That even you gotta listen, right, and be open to, if there's the nuggets in there.
Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of leaders, when disruption or chaos happens, they're trying to suppress noise. So they're trying to really suppress voices, like just get a few people that they trust, which is usually very close to their opinions, like an echo chamber, if you would, and to reduce the noise, to reduce the voices, which pushes away the diverse perspective of people, and even some people who yet don't agree with what is happening, or has a dissenting opinion was what came to mind, but a dissenting opinion or an alternate way of doing it, even at the problem level or at the solution level.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You're gonna miss out opportunity to get the best solution or avoid unnecessary work, whatever. Some people avoid all different types. Some people are action oriented. They want to get stuff done. They want to get it done even though deadline's far, because that's the way they work. Other people are opposite of take their time. Hey, it's not deadline yet. I got to do other stuff. I know my deadline. And so for me, it's generally I care more about finding the right solution, and I so I need someone else because it's not my strength staying on schedule. I need someone else to nudge me to make sure, hey, we have a schedule, are you there? But I'm going to be focusing on what's the best possible solution. I'm not thinking about the timeline yet, right? And that requires, I don't have all the knowledge. Okay, something come up, ask. So that's the part, at least I'm saying my weakness, right, is I dive into finding the best possible solution. But there's a time element, that could take forever, or, and then I recognize that. And I have other people in my teams who would be telling me, hey, we got a deadline. We got to go make sure, we pass this situation. But yeah, having other people's opinions, asking questions like, who else can help? Do you think someone else seen this before? Is important, and listening to people. Yeah. Yeah.
Leaders, are there other things you would share with leaders to help them bring in all these diverse perspectives, or even what you talked about is bringing in others who are not there?
Well, it goes back to everybody's different, right? This for me is who I am. Is I want to solve things the best possible way. I'm always seeking the most efficient way and creative way, and I don't just look at the same box. I'm like going all over.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's say, so the two problems. Problem one is doing something new, figuring out, yeah, that this problem exists. How do you do it? The other one is something went wrong. How do we solve it? Right? So on, even when it is a problem, something went wrong. How do we solve it? My head goes to say, what could we have done not this to happen? Instead of saying, what should we do now? My thinking goes, what could we have done for this problem not to happen? Right? Right.
That's a powerful question, because asking that keeps you out of this the next time, or maybe not for
Exactly.
sure, but it minimizes or tries to reduce getting you into this situation in the future.
So I don't like solving the same problem again and again. And I don't like firefighting mode, right? So I'm more of a fire preventing than firefighting. I could do firefighting, but that stresses me out. I don't want to do it. So I am on the prevention mode, right? And so that's why my mind goes, as a leader, what do you want to do, right? We have personal goal, or the goal is solving this problem, and allow, we are created comes whenever it comes, and you focus, okay, how do we solve this problem? How much time do you have? Who are the right people? And having the conversation, and you can systematically, right, funnel it. I say, okay, knowing the deadlines we have, we're going to take this much time to go figure out what it is. Now, a big part is, we talked about listening, but it's actually understanding, making sure everyone actually has the same perception of what everyone else is saying. Because what I found the most was the biggest problem was misunderstanding, in the sense of they all saying the same thing, but they interpret it differently.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so writing down and actually making sure, hey, we said this and that, right? You say whatever battery life, we're gonna go change this and that. What does it mean to you? This, code name or whatever we come up with, right? And then there was a case where I realized 4 different people using the same language, but they all had different interpretations.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So 6 months from now, we went through what we're gonna end up with, So I literally took 2 months just to make sure they all say the same thing, the definition of what we are working. It's a very complex situation. We're trying to go set gears for the battery life and all that. But everyone said, same acronym, same name, but it all meant different things to them.
That's very interesting. Yeah. So even though you could be listening for the same words, and those words you can maybe interpret the same, those words are not interpreted by, in this case, 4 people, or even maybe yourself, 5 people, in the same way, so that, back to the rowing in a boat, you're not in that same, they're not in the same direction.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So having all write down, all agree, and defining that is very important. So perceptions is the other part of, right, are all different. And spending the time to make sure in important cases, right, so you don't waste a lot of time, that we all have the same perception of what we are saying to each other.
Perception and
How you
like my experiences of what you're talking about, like that's my perception and you understand my perception. Do I have that right?
How you perceiving what we're talking about,
Okay.
right? So this, whatever name we give something, right? If let's say if I say phone, actually, now it brings out a funny story I once heard. So there was a guy, we were in Malaysia, and he came from the US. He came back and he said he lost his notebook. Did you call security? And everybody talk, and nobody could find this laptop. And he goes, I'm not talking about laptop, I'm talking about a notebook they want you to write on, right? And people were spending
Like a
so much time
physical
looking
one.
for,
Yeah.
right? But when he said notebook, all of us being engineers, being at Intel, what does our head go to,
Yeah. A
right?
computer for sure.
Right.
Not a
Yeah.
paper and pencil.
But how much a whole day security, everybody running around to find a laptop, right? So
That's a funny story.
how we perceived, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The same one word. So having to make sure that is we all understanding. So hey, you said notebook. Are you talking about laptop? Are you talking about a paper notebook? That would have saved
A lot of
a lot
time.
of time, right?
Yeah. Alignment can really save. So you talked about like having a click down on what is everybody's doing and kind of what I would term as like the meaning of what the words are and then the perception of how you're perceiving that meaning.
What does it mean to you?
Yeah.
Yes. And once we are
Nice.
aligned on that, we know we're not going to make mistakes, because most of the slowdowns come from going the wrong directions, and have to redo it. And to me, it's very important we don't waste time.
Yeah.
To me, energy preservation and focusing energy is the most important thing, and how I think about things in those lenses.
So how often would you estimate that this happens from your experience? The misunderstanding.
Man, I would say it's for sure more than 50%, even if not higher. And by the way, it's not a work thing only. If you see
No, it's
people
not.
fighting outside, it's the same thing.
Yep.
They misunderstanding each other. They might be even saying this, and misunderstanding is a cause of a lot of chaos and wasted energies. I mean, I've seen people who are fighting saying the same. They actually agree. It's just they're not listening to each other.
Hmm. That's true. It's not just at work or it's leading your life, leading yourself. That's nice.
Yeah, it's been one of those, I guess, superpower, you can say, that I can see what everyone is. So I'm listening to everybody. That means
Hmm.
I see the differences. So I will see this guy ask question, the guy's answering different question.
Right.
I'm
You're
like,
observant. You're
right?
very observant about what is going on and the understanding or misunderstanding of what's going on. I think you're also observing of, I just call it the energy of the team. And is there alignment or is there misalignment? And
Yes,
that's a great thing to be
right.
aware of as a leader.
Yeah, exactly. Because if things are not making sense, I'm like, why? Why are these two people not agreeing to this thing? You thought this was, something that we all should agree.
That's definitely one thing I'm taking away from this conversation. One thing you do is you click down, whether it's in the meaning, the why, hey, what's going on in this misunderstanding? Like it's staying with what you're seeing, observing, but then clicking down and bringing others to, I'll just use the word collaborate about it, have a conversation about it, be in relationship with each other about it.
Yes, and part of it is if we come together and we say we're solving a problem together, my assumption is we are all together, right? And when
Hmm.
there's fights and all this, and I cannot understand, I'm saying, okay, if we agree that we're gonna go solve this problem, then we should be able to. And then we go, okay, let's start with where do we align? Okay, do you agree with this? Do you agree with this? Okay, let's go to the next one, right?
Yeah, I like the technique of starting at the top. Like hey, do we all agree we're on Earth? Yes, okay. Like something that they can all agree on, right? And then you keep moving down until you start bringing out the differences.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Where
like that
is it,
technique.
right? And where's it coming from? Sometimes people have agendas; those things will come out, but you will actually be able to solve it, right? They are fears. You can solve it once you know what the fears of people are, right? So like we were doing something, right? And in the middle, I was trying to go push something very fast to get it done. I felt like that it could be done in the time given. And the team that's doing it, they were resistant. They were very worried, and we, I keep asking, and they were worried about the validation, and really they were worried about being blamed if something goes wrong. It was right. Once I recognized that, I go, okay, if anything goes wrong, I am responsible.
That's
No, really, that took
no,
the whole thing out.
yes. Yeah. Because you click down back to that. You click down to what's really underneath their hesitation, and validation was the words that they were saying, but the meaning and really underneath it was they don't want to get blamed. But you leading to give them the safety to go, look, you're not going to be blamed. You're not going to be fired because of this. I will take that heat.
Yeah, exactly right. So, because I have certain understanding, and I'm normally persistent on what I think should be done, but I allow in the room to hear if I'm wrong. And so when I'm clicking through, does it make sense to me or not, and why, and I'm listening still. So I'm at the same time I'm making judgment and risk taking where I think with my knowledge, once I see where they're sitting, if I can take the risk out of them because I think they might be burned in the past, whatever they have history of, okay, I'm gonna be responsible. And really that went through and we never had issues.
That's great. Let me ask you two questions here as we wrap up. The first one is what's one leadership lesson that you keep learning over and over again?
Everybody's different. For me, at the beginning of situations, try to lay down the context and content of things from, as early as possible, because even normally I remember, I have a good memory. I'm also a learner. So what that leads to, things that I think are common knowledge are not. Even people might have forgotten last meeting when we talked about, I might remember. So then coming in and saying things with that assumption and people getting all clueless, I've seen it's been a problem. So I have to try discipline myself to bring everybody to the same level I am before I start where the next is.
I like that.
Which is the other part of me is actually I realized I wasn't doing those because I didn't want to offend the people. I don't know. So it's okay,
Yeah, offend them by what? Wasting their time?
or making them look like they don't know things that, because I already know, and that's where I'm coming from, right? I know these things. I remember this. I was assuming they did too, and if I keep repeating it, right? And so, but for the most of the part I've seen, it's better to set that context back, even if it was last week you guys met, right? Just to
Love it.
hear where we were and being disciplined about that.
Yeah, I always like to keep bringing up the background until people tells you, hey, I got it. But it's rare that people say, hey, I got it. Or like, stop bringing up the background. If you get to that point, then you've overly communicated. But I don't think I'm not sure it's possible. I'll even challenge people that I don't think it is possible. So yeah, keep bringing in. What's the one word that describes your leadership mindset right now?
Collaborative.
Yep. One of your superpowers. I like it. All right.
And yeah. Hey, thank you for the talk.
Yeah.
This was fun.
Thank you, Ahmed, for joining. And it's a great opportunity to catch up, and hopefully other people can gain a little bit of advice from your stories.
Yeah, see how it goes. Yeah. That's on my next phase. I'm trying, build advising and consulting and coaching.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll find people who are interested and will help them.
Great.
Hey, thanks, Peter. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, best luck. We'll see how Roar goes. Yeah, we expect to go
Okay.
big in scale.
Thanks for listening to Roar Mindset, Leading Through Chaos. Disruption isn't going away, but you can embrace it and turn it into an advantage. Until next time, stop fighting disruption, lead with clarity, and thrive in uncertain times.